Kalitas versus V60s. Or rather, flat bottom brewers versus conical brewers. Which one should you choose? Okay, this is not a video about flat bottom versus conical brewers. There is a significantly better video on the differences between conical and flat bottom brewers that you can watch over here. Lance Hendrick does a fantastic job of explaining the differences, so I will not be doing that today. What I will be doing, however, is a brew guide on the Kalita. As I've mentioned in the past before, a lot of my channel is focused on introducing specialty coffee to people who have not worked in cafes before. So this is a beginner's guide. If you have made more than 25 plus Kalitas before, I'd suggest that you check out another video, although by all means hang around if you want to just kick back and listen to me talk about Kalitas. So without further ado, here we go. So as for the grind size you want to be using, it would be a very similar grind size to what you'd typically be using for filter coffee. I know some people would like it if I got a little bit more specific with this, but it's quite hard to be specific with this when you're possibly using different coffee, you're possibly using a different grinder to me, and the temperature and environment you're in is different to me as well. So the best thing that I can do is tell you to grind for what you'd usually grind for filter. If you're using this beautiful grinder over here, the Commandante, I would suggest between 22 to 23 clicks on your Commandante. So I would suggest that you dose between 15 to 16.5 grams of coffee. Now look, I know some of you might be thinking, whoa, that's a big variance, 15 to 16.5. But again, as long as you remain in that brew ratio for this recipe of 15 to 1, you should make a fantastic tasting cup of coffee. Okay, so for a quick overview of the recipe, we're gonna be dosing 15 grams of coffee with a grind size similar to what you typically use for filter. We're gonna be staying within a brew ratio of 15 to 1. That means that we will be using 225 mils of water. That means we'll be doing 4 pours of about 56 mils each, and on the last one, just slightly more. So that's 4 pours of about 56 mils each. Now, this is assuming that you have already pre-wet your filter paper. If not, I suggest you go and do that. You're gonna wanna add your coffee. Cool, once you've done that, you just wanna flatten that bed just a little bit to give your Kalita a little bit of a tap over there. Hit tare on your scale. Alrighty, let's hit start on the timer. So keep in mind, our first pour, what we wanna do is we wanna pour 56 mils in about 45 seconds. So that's just short of 56. We're gonna wait for about 45 seconds for this blooming phase to be completed. Then once we've hit 45 seconds, we'll proceed to our second pour. So we'll be trying to achieve about 112 mils on the second pour. That's 112 on my scale. And now we're gonna wait for 30 seconds. Okay, so 30 seconds has passed, and now we're gonna go up to 168. It's our third pour. And again, we're gonna want this to be completed within 30 seconds as well. Now it is our last pour, and we want to get to about 225. That is 225.5 for me. Now we want this completed within 2.5 minutes to 3.5 minutes. Okay, well, that is just over 3 minutes for me, which is pretty much precisely where we want it to be. I am now going to just remove that and then just give this a little bit of a swirl. I'd recommend maybe waiting a little bit before you start to drink it. You will find that the Kalita takes a little bit longer than you would with a conical device like the V60. So don't be surprised if your Kalita is taking a little bit longer. Maybe just make a few adjustments to your grind size to get an ideal, or to hit that ideal target time. Now, I know some people would want this to be a lot more accurate, and that's okay. But the main things for this recipe, stay within a brew ratio of 15 to 1. Make sure you're using the correct grind size, so filter grind size. One thing as well is ensure that you are blooming for the full 45 seconds, obviously depending on how fresh your coffee is. But the absolute most important thing is to learn to use this recipe to set or find your own recipe to find what works for you. There are basic concepts that I suggest you stick to. So for me, the most important thing in this recipe is just that you learn and enjoy yourself. So enjoy the coffee. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks heaps. Yum.